Hey everybody, Tom Judd from CED. Happy Global CE Day. Delighted to have with me Shauna Mullally up in the Northwest Territories of Canada. How you doing, Shauna?
I'm good, Tom. How are you?
Good. I was talking to one of your colleagues a few years back and I was complaining it was 20 degrees at where I was living and he said, be quiet, it's minus 20 here. In fact,
Exactly.
in fact, look out your window. We see there's snow outside your window. Is that
There
true?
we go. First day of snow,
Yay.
October 14th.
Go Northern
Yep.
Canada. Cool.
Yep.
Um, So tell us what you're up to. I mean, you work all around the world, but right now we've got you here in Northwest Territories of Canada.
Sure, Tom. Yeah, I run the health technology planning team up here. So my team works for the Department of Health and Social Services for the government of the Northwest Territories. And we, for a small territory, we're actually really lucky. Our leadership was pretty forward thinking in terms of the importance of clinical engineering. So we have two teams of clinical engineers up here. So my team is all clinical engineers and technologists, and we do all of the planning for all the new health technologies we procure, all the stuff we replace, new projects. And then we have a counterpart team that's based at the main hospital here in Yellowknife that does all of the maintenance and management of equipment across its life cycle. So our teams work hand in hand for the whole life cycle of all of the health technologies that we have up here.
Sean, I happen to know one of your favorite people is this Adriana Velasquez. Hey,
That's right.
so you were telling me about the 12 hours, of your day job. Tell us about your night job, hanging
Sure.
out with Adriana.
Yeah, Adriana is an incredible person, as anyone who knows her knows. I don't know how she gets done all of the stuff that she gets done, but one of the projects I've worked on recently with Adriana, which was a real privilege and a lot of fun, was working on putting together some training videos for different aspects of life cycle management for particular pieces of health technologies or medical devices that are used in the COVID response. And that's particularly important because, as we all know, new medical devices are arriving in health systems all over the world, often in very low resource settings where people might not have been formally trained how to maintain an oxygen concentrator, how to maintain a patient monitor. And so I worked on a project with Adriana and WHO to develop training scripts for short videos that are being filmed to show exactly that.
Well, CED had the privilege of working with Adriana and her team, including yourself, around what were the critical topics around COVID-19 and systems management, the clinical engineering approach to all that respiratory equipment and PPE and so forth. Yours was kind of the next step. Well, how do you convert all those best practices we learned from around the world into specific training for people? And I know you said it kind of quickly, but that was a multi-month and incredibly deep project with a lot of friends involved, but led by you and another person. So thank you so much for that. Well, we could talk to you about a lot of things, Shauna. I know we could talk about Canada, and let's do for a moment, what's going on with clinical engineering in Canada and your society there, but then we'll move beyond that.
Sure. Yeah, there's lots going on with clinical engineering and societies across Canada. And we're pretty lucky to have both a lot of clinical engineers in Canada, a number of different programs, and a really good kind of pipeline, if you will, to use a very technical word, for graduates. So, for example, almost everyone on my team here graduated from one of two master's programs in Canada. That's one at the University of Toronto and the other is at the University of British Columbia. So I would say it's definitely a very recognized profession. There's a lot going on with both our national society and with people kind of, we say, interjurisdictionally, basically collaborating between different places in Canada. I know we've been, my team up here, like, we tap into informal networks often too. So when we're working with a new company, when we're looking at planning a new technology, we tend to call up old colleagues who work in different places in Canada and say, hey, do you have experience with this company? Do you have experience with this new type of technology? What do we need to be thinking about? There's also some work that was led by Bill Gentles, and Bev Bradley was very involved. I was involved several years ago too, to look at how Canadian organizations could both learn about and put into practice good practice around medical equipment donations overseas, particularly to low resource settings. So the CMBES was very involved in that work as well.
Well, I know you're chafing to get to those low resource settings where you spend a lot of your brain power often. Tell us
Yeah.
about your work in the low resource settings and some of the things that are important to you.
Sure, Tom. Yeah, I was very lucky. I got to, so for my master's research that I did with Dr. Monique Fries, I was looking at the effectiveness actually of clinical engineering services, a model for that, and seeing whether the model that she had developed 20 years earlier in New Brunswick in Canada was applicable to the clinical engineering function in health systems in low resource settings. And I was lucky as part of that research to go to the Gambia in West Africa and do a research internship with Kevin Taylor, who's now my counterpart up here in the Northwest Territories. He leads the biomedical engineering.
You guys either like hot or cold. I got it. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. We both like places of extreme temperature and yeah, interesting environments to work in. So I was lucky. I finished my master's and went and spent a number of years working in the Gambia, running a biomedical engineering team there. I got to work with incredible techs. I met somebody who actually came over to Canada to study engineering 10 years ago and is now working on my team, someone named Anna from the Gambia. And yeah, my work in the Gambia was focused on running this biomed shop, but also we were talking a lot about how to build up capacity in the region. So the techs in the Gambia started collaborating with techs in Senegal, and Mullally started doing training, hosting them for training for particular technologies. And after that, I spent a few years in Zambia. And I am, as you know, very passionate about education and the importance of good education programs for clinical engineering professionals overseas. So part of my work in Zambia involved getting a technologist level 4-year diploma program up and going at a college in Zambia, which was the first program in the country, very much needed, as it's needed in all low resource settings. And that was fun to work on. And when you were asking about Canada earlier, we developed the curriculum for that program in collaboration with people from college programs here in Canada and in South Africa and in the UK. So there's always a lot of kind of partnership and support and collaboration to be had or to be made working on education for people in low resource settings. And yeah, every bit of time I spent over there, I was reminded of how lucky I was to grow up in Canada and be able to go to university and have a fairly clear pathway for that. And I think the more education for clinical engineering professionals that we can support and help start and help really grow in low resource settings where it's so important, the better.
Well, Shauna, I know you've got your seatbelt buckled because this fall, well, one thing, you're a part of the Global Clinical Engineering Alliance and the Founders Council, and you've directed a lot of sort of our future of our profession from there. But one of the things CED and GCEA will tackle this fall is certification around the world and credentialing, particularly in places where it doesn't exist now, and helping all the educational preparation to get there. So we're going to work with you and give you opportunity to continue to work on education in low resource settings. Any closing words though for us, for women clinical engineers around the world, and for, you know, what you've learned from all this work that you've described?
That's a good question, Tom. I will always remember moving from my undergrad in systems and computer engineering to my master's in biomedical engineering and looking around and saying, hey, there are a load of us in this class. That's exciting. I think, yeah, I think our profession, like any profession, the more diverse it is, the better. I think diversity really brings different perspectives. It really strengthens any profession, and ours is no different. And I will say it's great working with like a number of my team up here at present is all women. It hasn't always been. And the biomed team in the health authority here that Kevin runs is half women or more than half women. And yeah, I'm proud. I'm proud of being a clinical engineer. I'm proud of being a female clinical engineer. And I think the women in our profession, as well as the men, are doing great things.
I agree with you, and thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks so much, Tom. Thanks for everything you do.
All right, you're welcome.
Bye.
Bye for now.